You probably have seen this cat countless times before if you played video games for a long time, and also knew it was Sony's mascot pretty much over in Asia, not so much in the West, since we like guns and action, not cute little cats doing cute things obviously. Always made me a bit sad that none of Toro's games ever made the jump over to us. I'm sure he could have became a big thing, even if his normal games are a bit mundane, since it's a virtual pet kind of adventure game. If games like Tulip and Guitar Woman could get a Western release back then, why couldn't he, even if those kind of flopped? Somehow they translated one of his games into English, but only released that version in Hong Kong and South Korea. One of the official languages in Hong Kong is English, so it makes a bit of sense, but why not also release it over in Europe and America, and Australia obviously. Can't forget about our mates over there. Even just a digital only release, so even if it flopped, it couldn't have cost too much. Instead they just never did that. Sometimes you can't understand the people in those fancy suits that sadly get to make all the decisions. Especially since the game has the certain charm that you immediately fall in love with if you love cute things, and everyone should. You play as Toro, who has a big wish. He wants to become a human, and he heard that there's a cat with a half-moon scar, totally not a Sailor Moon reference, who can fulfill wishes. So he really wants to ask the cat to turn him into a human. Does Toro know how much it sucks to be one sometimes? You live a comfy life as a cat who gets everything she wants, and you ask for even more, so basically he's the opposite of humans who wish they could be cats. We all wished for it once at least, I think. Luckily it didn't happen. I wouldn't want to waste my wish like that. You don't even have to wish to turn into a cat though. Here's how to live your life like a cat. Move to a country with good social security stuff, pretend that you're a useless human who will never be able to work a normal job, and let the government pay for the rest of your life if you're fine with only living in a small flat. Live the neat life of your dreams. No need to become a cat, or get an 85-year-old sugar mommy or daddy, even if you are straight, and wait for a few more years. On his journey, he meets Kuru, who is named like that because he's black and Kuru means black in Japanese. I studied that language through anime for many years now, so I know what I'm talking about obviously. Should have called him Kuruneko. She should have won, but hey, she was better off in the end anyways by not being picked. If you want your favorite anime girl dating the main character, doesn't it kinda make you a cuck? Kuru actually met the magical cat and she gave Kuru a diary and told him if he can fill it up with fonts of thank yous, he will get his own wish fulfilled. He got tired of it after 3 days and now gives it to Toro and joins you, sometimes at least. That's basically the whole story, because now you have to do little minigames that all have their own little cute storyline to get a thank you out of people. Well, they're not people but animals like snails and rabbits and frogs with it. Isn't it weird how animals do different noises in different languages? Meow is how English cats talk, meow is how German cats do it, Japanese cats go nya or nyan, English goats go ma, German goats go meh. I hate myself. My animal impressions are really bad. I apologize. Even the animals wanted to reach God with their own Tower of Babel one day and got punished for it, I guess. And then God told them, hey, you make different sounds now, okay? You can't reach me like this. Remember me saying you meet a snail in this game? You do, right? Since I mentioned it like 20 seconds ago. That was a lie, because it wasn't a real snail but a cat that got turned into one by the half-moon magical kitty cat because this cat called her stupid. So better don't anger a cat with magical powers, or else she gives you one of the worst minigames in the game too. If we ignore most of the card games, then this might be the minigame I dislike the most. You play as Toro, who cosplays as a snail, and he walks automatically while you have to use the 6 axes to move the pieces around to collect the flower thingy and get to the end. It's just not really fun. But hey, with that I already got it out of the way, so I never have to think about doing it again, except for having to do all the stages if I feel like getting the platinum trophy. Luckily for the main story you only have to do a single stage. Unlike when you have to play a whole round of bowling with Kuru, some minigames are extremely short, others go on for like 20 minutes. I would have expected to throw like 3 balls here, but no, got to do all of the rounds, and you know what? It was fun, maybe even better than Wii Sports, because you play as a cat. You know, it can't get better than that, even though Wii Sports is still kinda better, but better than some other pricey bowling games I had the misfortune to play. You even save the bowling ally because of it, not because you won some big tournament or something like that, but because you attracted tons of customers since Toro is cosplaying a bowling pin. Cuteness trumps all. Some of these are really normal, like this kid's school getting shut down because he's the only student left. Somehow. Actually, maybe that's not that normal. But all he wants is to have one last sports fest, so now you have to turn into Sisyphus to roll a ball around a pole and back. No mountain involved though, so he's not like him at all. Rolling the ball is fun, so I bet Sisyphus also had a lot of fun doing it. It's these simple things in life, isn't it? Give me a simple job and I will enjoy doing it for countless hours. If the pay isn't too low. I love basically every single story here. Some may be really simple, but they're just about being nice and kind. Something people really forgot to be recently. But hey, that's life. You gotta take the bad with the good and the other way around. And I'm a masochist who enjoys being insulted anyway, so I like it when people are mean to me. It feels like having a book for kids being read to you at times by a soft female Japanese voice who just makes you think, yep, this is one of the comfiest games I've ever played.
トロはまだ人を愛するというのが普通の好きとどう違うのかよくわかりません。
It reminds me of the part in Game Center CX where Arino actually visits game centers and a comfy song plays with that comfy voice. Go watch that show if you never did it so far. Toro even gets isekai'd by the typical truck, he did it before it was cool, and you shoot some hearts and everything is silly, but suddenly you see that Toro's parents are dead and finally got to see him again after a long time, judging by the dialogue of how he has grown up, which implies they haven't seen him since he was a kitten, so he lost him really early, being silly with them before he realizes who he is talking to and starts to cry. Not gonna lie, this made me feel more things than most games that actually try to get you sad. Or the whole subplot of a retro TV that actually has an advanced AI in it, so it uses the retro look as a camouflage, since nobody would ever want a TV like this, again because nowadays we have flat screens, but except for people who play retro games maybe. This game was made before the whole retro market exploded and you could easily pick up expensive stuff for an apple and an egg, or just for free when someone put his old TV onto the street, you know, that kind of thing, but it's a good camouflage, I have to say. He's still way too expensive to buy for Toro though, but the TV wants him to be his owner so badly that he goes all the way down to 980 yen, while Kuru makes fun of him for being so cheap now. You smash open a watermelon and give Toro the directions for it, so there's actually a watermelon genie inside of the watermelon, and he grants you 3 wishes, and Toro wants to be human, and Kuru wants to be tall for the ladies, but he just turns into long cat. Long cat is long, and Toro looks like this. So the last wish is to be turned back. Nice going guys, totally didn't waste those wishes. Now you may ask, what would I wish for with 3 wishes, right? I'm gonna keep those a secret. There's an old carp who pretends to be a river god and tells Toro he will fulfill any of his wishes when he takes him up the stream, but he was just an old grandpa fish with no special power. Toro should have just eaten him, I think. Maybe should have eaten his granddaughter too, she looks like a snack. Even though I mostly don't even like fish, except for tuna fish and salmon. Maybe mostly because that's the only fish I had in my life, except for sardines, but those suck. So I don't like to remember that I ever had them. Luckily, I will not judge you if you put them onto your pizza. Everything works on pizza for some people. My favorite toppings are tuna fish with jalapenos, so I maybe have no room to speak about this. Or you meet some of Toro's friends that have already existed in the earlier games, so it most likely is like a prequel, since for example June the rabbit shows up and Toro doesn't know her, and she's on the search for love, aren't we all, unless you already have found it. Then good for you. This sounds a bit sarcastic, but I swear I mean it. And I fell in love with her. She's a funny kinda bitchy rabbit that's really cute. Maybe it's because she reminds me of Bunny from Xenosaga, or Jumping Flash a little bit. I love rabbits and bunnies. The characters in the game are just so expressive and cute. Look at her, even if she's a bit mean and only uses Toro to win a trip overseas. She deserves that trip, I wish her the best. Then there's also the freaky dog Pierre, who is into ghosts, and he wants to slap her cheeks. I mean, dogs can be pretty wild, but this dog is going too far. She's cute, but she's also dead. Maybe that's what true love is about, isn't it? It's not about the physical aspect, but the one with your souls. Since that's the only thing a ghost really has left. Even though she can take over bodies like Toro's, which I don't think it's legal, unless the person gives permission, and Toro doesn't. So this is a crime. She even makes him dance. I would enjoy being made to dance against my will, but she actually knows how to dance, so Toro dances pretty well, thanks to me, pressing the buttons. So maybe it's not all that bad. There's around 30 of these little story bits, always with a little minigame coming with it, and I just love my time with them. A few of these games were a bit lame, mostly card games, but that's because I can't even play poker. The only card games I know how to play are Uno or the German version of it, which came first actually, so Uno stole it from Mau Mau, how we call it here. I want to do cool things, not get messed up by some random things I can barely influence. I know, card games are not only about luck, but it plays a big role, and I'm unlucky as a pig. I don't know if pigs are unlucky. Toro is lucky though, since he even gets a whole house gifted to him. How nice, I wish that could happen to me. Does anyone here want to give a house for free to me? Just wondering. We even can live together in it. I clean up and don't have to pay any rent. Sounds good to me at least. I think it's even the house from the first game, since the fridge is in the same place. So it really was a prequel, and Toro's journey to meet all the people that show up in the other games started here. But everything comes to an end. Here the game even lies to you, saying there's still several pages left in your memory diary after the last minigame, but there's only 2 pages left, and both of them are just cutscenes. Does 2 count as several? It's more than 1, but it's still less than 3. Several for me implies at least 3, with things to do. Not like it matters, because at this point you kinda expected it to end anyways. You made tons of friends and learned that happiness is the most important thing in life, not some dream that can't be obtained through normal means anyways. Unless magic is real, but sadly it isn't. At least not in real life. Here, it actually is real. Kuru is suddenly gone, and everything you met, except for the carp for whatever reason, comes together to try to find him, but they can't. Kuru also left a message with the DV from earlier and says if Toro ever becomes a human, he should become a sexy and seductive one so he can take care of him when that day comes. What did he mean by that? So Toro uses his wish to make Kuru come back. That's true friendship. Even though I'm sure they eventually would have found Kuru anyway, so Toro just wasted his wish. Could have at least wished for a big supply of tasty fish. So the game comes to a close and you will just sit there like me and think, man, I wish the other games would get fan translation one day too. That would be my wish, to be able to play those games. Maybe I should just wish to understand Japanese so I could play even more untranslated games and not just Toro's games. Or put in the hard work of learning it, actually. Oh, and the magical cat, you never get to see it. You would think they would at least show that cat when Toro gets his wish with Kuru fulfilled, but no. I was looking forward to seeing that cat, but no, it doesn't exist. But magic does. How does that work? Like I said earlier, after unlocking the games in the story mode, you can play them in the free play mode for more stages, if you desire to do so, or even play completely new games that didn't show up in the story. For example, Snake. You pick up apples and your tail grows and you're not allowed to touch it. I love playing Snake on my mom's old Nokia phone, or in Time Splitters 2. It's surprising how many new games there actually are, and how some games have tons of stages, so just because you have beaten the story mode does not mean you have beaten the game. Most of them can also be played in multiplayer, but I have no one to play with. Wanna come over maybe? And yes, even the motion control minigames work well. None of them made me think I can blame the controller for messing up, but instead I would have to blame myself for it. That's how you can tell that they work well. Normally, when motion controls don't work, you kinda go like, oh you stupid Wiimote, I'm gonna shove you up my butt because you're not working, but you can use it other... Never mind, ignore this. I just love the whole aesthetic of the game, just look at it. You can make this game look better, it has that perfect look to it. You could make a PlayStation 8 and add ray tracing and all that fancy stuff, and it would look worse because of it. Look at this riverbank, sure, by modern standards it may look boring to people and the grass textures are more muddier than real mud, but that's the appeal. The realistic houses from a real photograph off in the distance, like the one Mario 64 portrait, there's just something so special about this. Maybe it's because I just love the look of somewhat realistic places with some random little animal thrown in there, or animal girl. It gives it such a comfy cute contrast that it's hard to put into words what makes it feel so special to me. In general, it's one of those games that makes you think you're playing a PlayStation 2 game but on a stronger console, in the best possible way. There's also a huge gallery in the game with tons of concept art, calendar stuff, CD art, and just look at this. Perfect for people who have never seen anything about Toro before, but probably also great for people who are super duper into him, even though all of these things nowadays could be found on a wiki, but hey, I love unlocking things like this. Here you don't have to unlock it, it's just here right from the start. Same with the custom themes you can install on your PlayStation 3 instead of having to buy some overpriced stuff from the PS Store. To get it you have to buy the game, so actually that's quite pricey just to get themes, if you want the themes. Unless you know your way around, you know? Wink wink. I would recommend it to people who always wanted to try one of these games out, even if this is mostly a minigame collection instead of being a virtual pet kind of game. Obviously that's a kinda big difference, but you will love the vibe of it. Everything is just made out of sugar and makes you melt. Do it for Toro and his friends. With that said, I hope you enjoyed the video and will have a good day, a good night, or whatever fits your time zone. And now I'm gonna spend all of my money, which isn't a lot, on Toro merchandise and become an ultra fan. Bye bye.